From the start of the show, even before we get any information about his childhood, we can tell that Homelander was raised poorly. We can tell that his childhood must have been awful for him to end up that way. Because there's no way that somebody that was raised well, that had a great childhood, would end up that badly. Because everything about him screams that this guy wasn't raised well. Like, if it's a situation in which he went through just one or two bad childhood moments, he would probably have a few mental issues, but Homelander has pretty much everything about him be wrong. Like, literally only a tiny aspect of his mentality is okay. Pretty much everything else is wrong. And obviously as the show went on, we started getting confirmation about just how bad his childhood was. And this guy wasn't even raised, he was just experimented on for his entire childhood. He had no loving parents but scientists. That's all he knows, that's all he saw for, again, his entire childhood. He didn't have anyone that he viewed as a motherly figure, he had no one that he viewed as a fatherly figure. All he saw and all he knows are scientists. Scientists that did not care about how he felt, about what exactly they're doing to him, because he didn't like it obviously, seeing as he was basically tortured for his entire childhood. His entire childhood, he was locked in a prison cell. He didn't know about the outside world. He didn't even know outside of his prison cell. All he knows is that every single day of his life is going to be an experiment. Sometimes it's going to be really painful, sometimes it isn't. And it's going to cause a massive effect on him, not only physically, but also mentally. As he aged, he didn't grow mentally because they were more focused on making him strong, because they wanted to make a personal weapon that is much stronger than Soldier Boy, than actually making him functional in the society. Which inevitably caused massive problems on how he viewed the world and how he behaved as an adult. Because this guy was almost 40 and he was behaving like a 14-year-old. Which makes sense because emotional growth and emotional maturity was never the main aspects of Homelander's experiments when he was a child. Hence why it makes sense that he acts like a child, and also why he was actively seeking a parental figure even at his old age. Like I said earlier on, Homelander wasn't raised with love, he wasn't raised with affection, he wasn't even raised at all. Everyone viewed him like a weapon, that's it. He was just an object for everyone that could possibly be viewed as a parental figure. Even though really and truly, none of them were, because none of them loved him as a parent would. All of them viewed him as a potentially powerful weapon, and they were trying to mold him into being that powerful weapon, and forgetting how to mold him into being a functioning child, and a functioning being. Hence why he tries his hardest to create a loving relationship between people that he views as a parental figure. Obviously the first person of note in terms of the people that Homelander views as a parental figure is Madelyn Stillwell. Obviously yes, that's a character that Homelander did love. It was ridiculously easy for Madelyn to manipulate Homelander because she knows that Homelander yearns for parental love. Parental love that he never got when he was a child. It was implied that Madelyn Stillwell gave him this attention even before the start of the show, which will explain why Homelander was jealous of a baby, Madelyn's baby, because he wanted Madelyn all to himself. He wanted to be babied by Madelyn. He wants Madelyn to make him her top priority. Hence why Madelyn breastfeeds him like a baby. He even has an obsession with milk because he likes to behave and act like a baby. And when you dive a bit deeper in the relationship between Madelyn and Homelander, it gets even worse because you can tell that the relationship is dysfunctional and messed up, and it isn't just because Homelander views Madelyn like a parental figure. It was way worse. Throughout season 1, it was implied that this was an abusive relationship, and Homelander was groomed and abused from a very young age by Madelyn. This was somewhat implied that it's the reason why Madelyn was easily able to control Homelander through sexual manipulation and abusing the power dynamics between them. And you can tell that it's been going on for a really long time, hence why Homelander views it as normal. Hence why Madelyn was the only person that was able to control Homelander. If she can control Homelander, therefore she will be able to control the Seven, which makes her chance of rising through the ranks and becoming a higher up in the chain of command much more easier. Because Homelander is a massive ally if you want to generate fear and power. Nobody in the verse can do it better than Homelander. Hence why she viewed it as best to manipulate Vaught's most powerful asset, from the age in which Homelander was very young and very impressionable. Unlike with Madelyn, Homelander's relationship with Stan Edgar is pretty much straightforward. With Madelyn, he loved Madelyn and also respected Madelyn. With Stan Edgar, he hated him. And by his admission, he was intimidated by him. But not in the sense of full-on fear in which Homelander might believe that Stan could do something to him, but in the sense of he can actually make Homelander do whatever he wants him to do. Why? Because he's fiercely intelligent. Whenever they get into a disagreement, he runs circles around Homelander's threats. So whenever Homelander throws a tantrum and tries to do something, He reminds him that it would be a stupid idea to do that. Hence why every single time both of them have been in the same room, Stan Edgar is always the person of power in every single conversation they both had. Even after he was outsmarted by Homelander and was about to go to prison, he still won the argument very easily, even getting the last word, proving that his power doesn't come from his position. His power comes from his fierce intelligence and the fact that he's fearless, as in he does not fear Homelander at all. He doesn't view Homelander as a friend, not as a colleague, not even as a subordinate. He views Homelander more of like a child. Hence the dynamic between Homelander, Madelyn Stillwell, and Stan Edgar. More so acts like the parents of a teenager, obviously Madelyn being more so a messed up version of a parent. Homelander and Ryan's relationship is a vicarious relationship, which basically means that Ryan is a substitute for himself. He wants Ryan to live out a life that he never got to live out. He wants Ryan to live out a childhood that he never got. He wants Ryan to live out a childhood that he fantasized about. And this type of relationship almost never succeeds, especially at the scale of what Homelander was trying to do with Ryan. Because typically, a vicarious relationship between a parent and a child is usually about one thing, one aspect of a parent's life. Typically a major aspect, but just one. For example, they tried to make it in sports and they didn't, and they want their child to make it in sports. So they point out the reasons why they didn't make it, and they try to make sure that the child doesn't go for the same obstacles. They try to control everything that the child does to make sure that they make it in sports. However, even though this is only one aspect of a child's life, it still causes a lot of issues in a parent-to-child relationship because you are controlling their life. Although most of the time it's subtle, it can be discovered by a child. Because again, it is very controlling. And in this situation, that is only one aspect of your life. In Homelander and Ryan's situation, Homelander is trying to make Ryan live out everything that he missed as a child. The relationship that he fantasized between him and a father is the relationship that he believes that him and Ryan should have. Everything that he believed he should have done when he was a child is what he believes that Ryan should do. It got to the point in which he started blending the things that he didn't do and the things that he fantasized that he should have done with the things that he actually did. Because how he was raised is still ingrained in his mind. What he went through as a child shapes his personality. It shapes his entire being. And Homelander, because of how he thinks of the world and how he thinks of the people within the world, cannot be a dad. As in, he can't raise the child. And if he does, he has to raise him in pretty much the opposite ideology that he himself holds. So for example, when he's belittling humans and making Ryan believe that humans are nothing to him because, again, Ryan is an all-powerful superhuman. And when you raise a child to believe that humans are basically just objects and other people are just subhuman to him, and their lives should mean nothing to him, even if they die he should not care, that is how you raise a narcissistic psychopath, like him. Hence why the parent-to-son relationship between Ryan and Homelander couldn't work. Hence why Ryan was so conflicted in season 4, because that isn't the ideology that he has. That isn't the ideology that he's been raised on by his mother. His mother has already shaped who he is. He's too caring to be a Homelander. He's too caring to be a narcissist. He's too caring to be a psychopath. And Ryan was too grown to mold into what Homelander wants him to become in the time that Homelander had to be a parent to Ryan. Homelander is a malignant narcissistic megalomaniac who is a pathological liar, a psychopath that suffers from PTSD. And now imagine giving that person powers, to the point in which Homelander is the most powerful being in the entire world. Nobody is strong enough to stop him, nobody is strong enough to punish him, hence why a lot of people are scared of him. Because they know if anything happens to them, nothing of note is going to happen to Homelander. The guy will snap at any given point. He can kill you at any given point. And when he does, he would not care about it at all. He won't lose a sleep over it. He will sleep like a baby because he behaves like a 12-year-old. Hence why I love the time when Homelander does something and he gets called out on his actions, he never admits ever that he's wrong. There's always a yes, but this, even though he's clearly in the wrong. And this is because he believes he's superior to everything and everyone. He always believes that he's smarter, he's stronger, he's faster, and therefore meaning he physically cannot be wrong. If he does something wrong, then because it's him doing it, that is right. That is the right way to do it, and everyone else is doing it the wrong way. Hence why with regards to Ryan, the things that he teaches him, he genuinely believes that those are good advice, even though they are psychotic. Because he's too much of a narcissist to believe that he's ever wrong. Hence why he likes to be worshipped, he likes to be viewed as a god. Hence why Stormfront failed to convert him into her ideology. Because the whole ideology of there being a superior race makes no sense to him, because he is a superior race. In his mind, there is no superior race. It's just me. I'm the superior one. Just because you have the same skin color as me, just because you have the same eye color as me, just because you have the same hair as me, does not mean that we are the same. Does not mean that I view you as an equal. ever. You need to be me. The superior race is just me. If you're me, then you're automatically superior. Hence why the only person that Homelander views on par with him is Ryan, because Ryan, in his mind, is him. Ryan is another version of him. Ryan doesn't just look like him, Ryan is him. Although yes, of course, there are people that can control Homelander, I'll get to that in a second, but he never views them on par with himself. They are still lesser being to him. Because again, in his mind, he's the ultimate god. He's the ultimate being. The only being that could be compared to him should be another him. The best way to survive Homelander is simply by standing up to him. That's it. That sounds simple for someone that powerful and someone that messed up in the mind, but that is your best chance of survival. Because the moment that Homelander senses fear, if he wanted to hurt you physically, he will. But if he doesn't sense fear in you, there was no situation in the entire show in which we actually saw Homelander kill somebody that did not fear him. In fact, a lot of the time he just makes threats and leave. And this is something that we saw throughout the entire show. It was to the point in which someone that is as weak as Huey was able to stand up to Homelander by literally just standing in front of his face without flinching. He didn't show any fear in his eyes and Homelander didn't do anything. Something that you would assume that Homelander will kill people for, because he's killed people for less. However, he never does that in the show when someone stands in front of his face. In fact, the only time he hurts people that doesn't fear him is when they force him to fight. The reason why he killed Stillwell isn't just because she lied to him and he hates liars even though he is one, but because she admitted to Homelander that she's afraid of him. That was what broke through the mental barrier which caused him to kill her. And we know this because Stillwell isn't the only person that lied to Homelander about the Ryan and Becca situation. Dr. Vogelbaum also lied to him and he didn't do anything to him, even though he knows that he was the first one to know for sure that he lied to him. Because again, he does not fear him. And this is because subconsciously, Homelander needs people to stand up to him. He needs somebody to tell him that he is wrong, that he is doing something dumb. Although he wants to be worshipped, he doesn't want to be worshipped by everyone. When everyone worships him and everyone believes that he is good no matter what he does, he feels empty. He doesn't feel as big as he wants to believe that he is. Although he himself isn't dumb, but he needs to be controlled by somebody. Because from the jump, from the moment that he was born, he was created and manipulated into being a weapon. And he needs somebody to hold and use him as a weapon. He can't be both the weapon and the wielder. That's not going to work. Hence why Stan Edgar told him that he's going to regret getting rid of every single person that can control him. Because he needs somebody to control him for him to function. And he realized that Edgar was right. Hence why he reached out to Sage, just so that Sage cannot be the wielder of the weapon that is him.